Hello and welcome to the presentation for Year 10 Work Experience at the Anglo-European School for 2025. Now, as mentioned at the Parental Information Evening earlier on in the year, Year 10 all have 2 weeks committed curriculum time to explore the world of work through a work experience placement. This will take place between the 2nd of June and the 13th of June, so 2 weeks following the May half term. During this presentation, we're just going to have a look at what that entails, what the responsibilities are for the student and for you as a parent, and how we can and how we manage that whole process. For more help on how to get a placement for your Year 10 work experience or your Lower 6 work experience, please look at some of the articles linked below on the Unifrog website, which we'll talk about later. And there are another number of useful links that we've put in here for you to help you get that placement. The first deadline for all students is to enter the details of the placement that they have found by the 14th of March. There's a short video that will follow this initial video about the launch of work experience, showing students and parents how to use the Unifrog platform to log a work experience placement. It's really important that the information that's placed on Unifrog is accurate and has the right contact email and telephone if you've got one. The reason for this is because it's an automated system that will send the information directly to the employers as soon as you have entered it. There will be a question on the Unifrog platform that asks you to name the placement coordinator at the school. Simply select placement coordinator for this, and that will get through to our careers coordinator at school. That information then goes to the employer to confirm that they've agreed the placement for your child. This needs to be completed by employers by the 4th of April. Sometimes this takes a little bit of chasing. We can do that automatically on our end, but should we fail to get in contact with them, we will ask you to chase up that placement and to make sure that they receive the email from Unifrog to confirm the placement for that student. They will then submit their insurance and liability documents, which is part of the safeguarding process that we have for work experience. But it's also important that you, as a parent, check all that insurance and liability documents, those documents as well, because essentially you will be responsible for your child whilst they are on placement. We've decided to launch work experience a little earlier this year in the December. Usually we do this during January, but we thought the 2 weeks over Christmas would be a good opportunity while family and friends are around and while students have got a bit more spare time to have a look for that placement. You'll also notice on EduLink today there is a work experience agreement that all parents must sign before the 14th of February, so that's the last day of next half term. If you have a look at the agreement and click, there are 4 statements that you will need to agree to, and it's really useful for us to have that information before the 14th of February. Now, finding a placement is not always the easiest thing to do, but here are some top tips on how to find a placement. The first I would give is to speak to someone always if you want a placement, and never just drop off your CV or drop off a letter or an email, because that's easy to ignore. And so it's always useful to pick up the phone and to phone the employer that you wish to work for, and always ask to speak to someone who can authorise work experience rather than someone who hasn't got the capacity to do so. I would always start with friends and family and see what and see if there are any opportunities there for students with people that you know in the first instance, because it tends to make it a bit easier, and also for communication reasons as well as for organising. Okay. Failing that, ask your local high streets. Ingatestone High Street and Chelmsford High Street have got loads of opportunities for work experience. They all support the work experience programme and will have a programme ready for you. You just need to go out and ask for it. On the 2nd of May, the school have an internal deadline to confirm all the placements. That's to ensure that all students have a placement, that employers have authorised that and approved that placement, and that we are happy with the insurance and liability documents that they've sent. In some cases, we may have to ask some more questions for employers about the work environment that the child is working in, just to ensure that they meet our safeguarding practices. It's also a good time on before the 2nd of May or around the 2nd of May to contact your employer and thank them for the opportunity for your child. So on the week starting the 26th of May, it's advisable that you contact your employer just to ensure that they are expecting your child throughout their placements from the 2nd of June to the 13th of June. Students are on work experience for 2 weeks, and this should represent a normal working day. I understand that sometimes the job means that students will start earlier and finish earlier, or start later and finish later, but these 2 weeks should be 2 regular work weeks. During the placement, we'll send a welfare form to your students just to make sure that they are doing well and that they are safe. And we'd appreciate if students fill these in as soon as possible. We do need to make contact with students that are on a placement, so if we don't receive a response from them in the first week, we will try to call them in the second week. Okay? It's also recommended that parents and carers make a welfare call too, and just ask their kids how their work placement is going, and highlight to us, give us a call if there are any issues with the work placement. The last part of this presentation is just to discuss a voluntary contribution that parents are welcome to make, but are by no means enforced to make. We are one of very few schools in the area that are dedicated to a 2-week programme for all students in Year 10 and in Lower 6th. On parent pay, there is a voluntary £25 contribution that helps us towards the admin costs of this work experience. As I said at the start, we find this opportunity really valuable for the students and helps them with their CV building and for their personal statements should they wish to go to university later on. Again, there's absolutely no obligation for this. This is just a completely voluntary £25 donation towards the work experience. So the next part of the presentation will talk to you about how you can upload your placements online using a platform called Unifrog. Now, all students in Year 10 will have access to Unifrog. It might be that they can't remember their passwords and they simply need to reset their passwords on the link on the home page for this. Make sure that your child has their access to Unifrog before uploading the placement for their work experience. Here is the Unifrog interface, the platform when you first start. Okay, so this is what it will look like for the students. Okay, so all Year 10 students will have their logins. If they don't have their logins, it's very easy to, if they can't remember their password, it's very easy to reset that. You just go to the forgot password at the front, but all Year 10s, current Year 10s, have an account on Unifrog. The first thing that they're going to do is they're going to scroll down and they're going to find one of these colourful boxes called placements. It's this sort of pastel purple colour called placements. You're then going to click go to tool here. It's important to point out at this stage that parents don't need their own accounts because they are involved in the process when students give their contact details of parents. Okay, there's essentially 4 different steps to this process to begin with. And the first one is the student putting in the placement themselves. So we're going to click Add New Placement button here. If you want some more help on your placement, there are lots, like I said, Unifrog's got lots of really useful tools and resources to help you with that. So I'm going to say Add Placement here, and then you come up with a student's initial form. After students finish this form, it gets sent to the employer for them to do their bit. After the employer's done their bit, it gets sent to the parents to say, can you confirm all of this? And the parents have a form to fill in. And after they've done that, it gets sent to the school. So that's when we've got all of our information for that. We have a tracker at the back end so we can see how far students have got, and we'll help prompt them if we feel that they're falling behind with it. Okay, so all you need to really is fill out this form here. So in virtual or in person, we hope that all of our they're going to be in-person work experiences. This part here where it says placement coordinator, there are lots of names of members of staff, everyone who's signed up to this, but I really need you to press placement coordinator for this. This means that the email traffic is going to get sent to one inbox in school, so it's really important that we all select placement coordinator. Okay, the name of the placement of business organisation. The start date, of course, is the 5th of June, and it finishes at the 16th of June. So you can fill that all in. I describe the type commitment, so 9 to 5, or is it 9 to 3, that sort of thing. These bits of information are really important as well. So this is what the parts of the form that we cannot get wrong. The employment lead name, but I was doing one earlier, Bob the Baker. The employer placement lead email, it's really important. It says here that this must be correct, otherwise the chain of events that happen after this gets stopped, okay? So employer placement lead email, again, this is just to make sure that you've got the email right the first time, so those two must match each other. The placement of the country, placement address, placement zip code or postcode, all of those things. Is the workplace where you'll be based throughout your placements. So you just need to enter the rest of this form here, and once you've done that and you agree to all 4 points above, so do you agree to these points above, you can say mark as finished and notify the employer. That will send an email to the employer saying there's a student here, Tim Cook would like to have a placement with you from the 5th to the 16th of June. Can you supply this information before we go any further? And so that's for the employer to do. So after you do that, you press add placement, and that is it. Okay. So the timeline, all the information on the timeline is available to you on the email that would have been sent out. It's important that all parents also sign on to EduLink and agree to the work experience parental agreement. We'll support students with this a small bit in citizenship, so just to remind them and prompt them, and it might be possible to get them some time in a computer room. But that is it. If you have any queries or questions that I haven't answered in the video or that haven't been answered in the email that you've been sent, please can you make sure that you send those to enterprise@aesessex.co.uk. Really excited to get to start this off, and it should be a really, really good and useful experience for our students. Thank you very much.